Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Caru News, V4 Stream, मलनाडु टीवी इंडिया, न्यूज गांव से, संवाद सारोकार न्यूज, भारत पोस्ट न्यूज, ज्ञान and organ donation India Foundation. Our endeavor is to bring to you a current topic, and today, being the Wednesday, we are running a series called Democratic Reform Series. So today's our topic is corporate reforms in India. But before I would like to go on the main topic, I would like to inform you that today world is observing World Meteorological Day. World Meteorological Day takes place every year on 23rd March and commemorate the coming into force on 23rd March 1950 of the convention establishing the World Meteorological Organization. It showcases the essential contribution of national meteorological and hydrological services to the safety and well-being of the society and is celebrated with activities around the world. The theme chosen for the World Meteorological Day reflect topical weather, climate or water-related issues. WMO Executive Council has selected the themes for 2021, the ocean, our climate and weather, in conjunction with the launch of the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable. Media conference with Lal Goel, wish a happy Meteorological Day. And today is a very, very special day. The day is because today is the country is observing Shahid Divas or Martyrs Day, or the Shahid Divas 2022 is observed in India on several dates. March 23 is remembered as the day when three brave freedom fighters, namely Sardar Bhagat Singh, Shivaram Rajguru and Sukhdev Thapar, were hanged by the British. These heroes fought for the independence of India and sacrificed their lives. For many young Indians, Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhdev have become a source of inspiration. Even during the British rule, their sacrifice urged many people to come forth and fight for their freedom. Therefore, in order to homage to the three of these revolutionaries, India has commemorated March 23 as Shahid Divas. Media conference with Lal Goel pays homage to the real heroes who sacrificed their lives in their prime youth for our country. Now coming to the main topic, corporate reforms in India. A corporation is an organization, usually a group of people or a company authorized by the state to act as a single entity, a legal entity recognized by private and public law, born out of a statute, a legal person in legal context and recognized as such in law for certain purposes. In 2019, the Indian economy was the world's fifth largest by nominal GDP and third largest by purchasing power parity. Following market-based economic reforms in 1991, India became one of the fastest growing major economies and is considered a newly industrialized country. Government of India adopted the policy of liberalization, privatization and globalization, LPG, in India. Since then, several policy initiatives have been taken to boost economic growth, efficiency and global competitiveness of Indian companies. Both legislative and non-legislative reforms have been carried out to improve governance in the corporate sector. The need for the corporate governance has arisen because of the increasing concern about the non-compliance of the standard of financial reporting and accountability by boards of directors and management of corporate. inflicting heavy losses on investors. The collapse of international giants like Enron, WorldCom of the US, and Xerox of Japan are said to be due to the absence of good corporate governance and corrupt practices adopted by management of these companies and their financial consulting firms. The failures of these multinational giants bring out the importance of good corporate governance structure, making clear the distinction of power between the board of directors and the management, which can lead to appropriate governance processes and procedures under which management is free to manage and board of directors is free to monitor and give policy directions. In India, SEBI realized the need for good corporate governance and for this purpose appointed several committees such as Kumar Mangalam Birla Committee, Naresh Chandra Committee and Narayan Murthy Committee. A good system of corporate governance is important on account of many factors, but the few of them are like investors and shareholders of a corporate company need protection for their investment due to lack of adequate standards of financial reporting and accountability. It has been noticed in India that companies raised capital from the market at high valuation of their shares by projecting wrong picture of the company's performance and profitability, which we have even seen recently in the Paytm and Nykaa shares. Corporate governance is considered as an important means for paying heed to investors' grievances. Kumar Mangalam Birla Committee on Corporate Governance found that companies were not paying adequate attention to the timely dissemination of required information to investors by India. Though some measures have been taken by SEBI and RBI, but much more required to be taken by the companies themselves to pay heed to the investors' grievances and protection of their investment by adopting good standard of corporate governance. The importance of good corporate governance lies in the fact that it will enable the corporate firms to attract capital and perform efficiently. This will help in winning investors' confidence. Investors will be willing to invest in the companies with a good record of corporate governance. Global perspective, the extent to which corporate enterprises observe the basic principles of good corporate governance has now become an important factor for attracting foreign investments. In this age of globalization, when quantitative restrictions have been removed and trade barriers dismantled, the relationship between corporate governance and flows of foreign investment has become increasingly important. Indispensable for healthy and vibrant stock market. An important advantage of strong corporate governance is that it is indispensable for a vibrant stock market. A healthy stock market is an important instrument for investors' protection. A bane of stock market is inside trading. Inside trading means trading of shares of a company by insiders, such directors, managers, and other employees of the company on the basis of information which is not known to the outsiders of the company. So to discuss this very, very important aspect of the corporate reforms in India, we have a very elite, knowledgeable, those who are expert in this field, panelists are with us. And I would like to invite my first panelist guest, and he is Dr. Naveen Gupta. Dr. Naveen Gupta is the director of Hindustan Institute of Management and Computer Studies, HIMCS, Sharda Group of Institutions, Mathura. Dr. Naveen Gupta is a leading behavioral scientist, trainer, management consultant, and therapist. He studied at the IIT Roorkee and has 34 years plus years of academic experience in teaching and research. He has visited a number of countries like USA, China, Hong Kong, Dubai, Oman, Sharjah, Nepal, Macau, Sri Lanka, etc. for training and academic assignments. He has worked as the top academic and administrative leaders, including as director of several business schools and as a director general with Advent Institute of Management, Udaipur, Rajasthan. He is also a founder of Soldiers of Society, SOS, in Agra and Mathura for making difference to the life and livelihood of the auto workers and other poor sections and enhances the experiences and memories of the national and international tourists to the city of Taj. Welcome, Dr. Naveen Gupta on our show. Dr. Naveen Gupta, apart from that, you are the director of a very reputed management institute. You are also a citizen of the country and also an investor. Now, being an investor, being a citizen of the country, What are your concerns? Why the country requires the corporate reforms today? So we would like to know your views on corporate reforms in India. Dr. Naveen Gupta, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lal Goel, sir. And good morning to all the panelists. And the topic is so relevant. I need a lot of time to discuss because I am a teacher of the management education also. But I'm a bit confused from where we can start, though you have already shared a lot of inputs. You have given a lot of data. But I would like to talk because corporate, they're also part of the society and they're also working for the society. So I will just concentrate ki kahan kis ki kya zimmedari and what went wrong and what can be done. Maybe a bit theoretical, but still we need to discuss. फिर कहना आपका कि बात निकलेगी कहीं तो जाएगी, तो वो थोड़ा सा इट इज अ गुड प्लेटफॉर्म. जो एक पेन होता है और जो चाहते हैं उसको शेयर तो करें कम से कम. So I would like to focus on what the corporate needs now. So they need to focus on 3P. The first, planet, people, and profit. 3P का अगर corporate sector अगर ध्यान रखेंगे तो I think things are much better and we can bring a lot of reformation. But हुआ क्या in past, what went wrong? कि हमने इसको reverse कर दिया. Profit has become the prime importance. Maybe, and because of that, क्या हुआ कि lot of consumerism, marketization of the life, each and everything हमने उसको पैसे से control करना शुरू कर दिया. In Indian mythology also, हम भी कहते थे दीपावली पे businessmen, they keep on saying कि शुभ लाभ, पर हमने शुभ को हटा दिया. सिर्फ we have concentrated only on लाभ and लाभ, profit. We are not able to discriminate between need and greed. And as a result क्या हो गया? Planet, climate change. On 22nd March, we had a water day. Now you see, इतना जबरदस्त ये profit के चक्कर में all multinational, even small businessmen, they have focused more on a profit. Look at the soft drink industries. They're not bothered about the health. And look, what is the impact of the soft drink? I'm not against. लेकिन आप उसको देखिए किस तरीके से हमारी कल्चर में वो बैठ गई है कि it has replaced the basic need of the water. The youngsters now, they want, when I was in Dubai, I was shocked and surprised कि बच्चे जो है वो कॉम्बो ऑफर लेके खाने के साथ पानी नहीं पीते. They take drinks because इस कदर हमने उसका मार्केट किया, इस कदर एडवर्टाइजमेंट से कि now basic need has been replaced. And when we focus more on consumerism, as a result, what happened? कि more exploitation of the natural resources. Look at the soft drink industry. Look at the cosmetic products like Fair and Lovely. Look, McDonald's. उसका जो impact आ रहा है, जो अभी corporate sector का impact on health, this is very alarming for all of us. Now, India is going to be the hub of the diabetic, blood pressure, obesity, typhoid, PCOD has become so common. I think that is because of the fast food culture, which has been given by the corporate sector to us. The way they have advertised, promote Maggie, they will never say if your mother have no time for you to go for Maggie. No, 2 minutes. तो जिस तरीके से हम लोगों की लाइफ में ये कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर्स आ गया है, मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज ने इसको एडवर्टाइजमेंट किया है, this we need to change. We need to introduce, if we are focused about the planet, first people, तो हमें गांधीयन इकोनॉमी को फोकस करना ही होगा कि लोकल प्रोडक्ट्स का. Then I would like to focus more on people, HR policies. Look at the HR policies of the sector. Though salary package and everything is very good, but what is the lifestyle disorder is a serious concern of all the youth and the citizen of the country. Stress, depression, insomnia, imposter syndrome, ये सब के सब कदर, और स्पेशली आफ्टर द कोविड. अभी day before yesterday we had insomnia day, sleep day. Now look किस कदर alarming data आ रहा है. I'm a man of behavioral science. That's very very shocking. लोगों का सबसे बड़ा जो प्रॉब्लम है इस टाइम है कि नींद नहीं आती है. भैया हम किस डायरेक्शन में जा रहे हैं, क्या हम काम कर रहे हैं, वो हमें अभी थोड़ा सोचना ही पड़ेगा. वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस, दो अनफॉर्चुनेटली और फॉर्चुनेटली अभी कोविड की वजह से वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस के डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स भी हमने देखे. लेकिन अभी क्या हो गया, कॉर्पोरेट लाइफ, वर्किंग आवर्स इतना बढ़ा दिया कि दे डोंट हैव टाइम फॉर द फैमिली. वो पैसे का करना क्या है, सैलरी पैकेज इज टू गुड, रेट रेस शुरू हो गया है. फैमिली के जो टेंशन है, डू वी एड्रेस इन अ कॉर्पोरेट, divorce rate is going up and up in the family. How a person can be happy if he's not happy in the family? So it is none of the concern of the corporate sectors. They should focus. HR, अरे भाई एक happy employee is a productive employee. Like IBM, they have introduced before COVID also. उन्होंने कहा work from home. अभी तो हमें मजबूरी में करना पड़ा वर्क फ्रॉम होम. देयर आर सो दैट इफ यू एम्प्लॉय और इफ यू रिक्रूट अ फीमेल मैन पावर, इफ दे कैन स्टे एट होम एंड इफ योर वर्क इज नॉट सफरिंग, अलाउ देम. व्हाई यू आर, बट हमने टाइम बढ़ा दिया है. तो अभी बहुत बड़ा जो है पोस्ट कोविड जो आया है, इम्पोस्टर सिंड्रोम. एक इम्पोस्टर सिंड्रोम इज ए काइंड ऑफ ए सिंड्रोम कि जहां हर आदमी को लगने लगा, काफी ये बड़ी रिसर्च हुई साइकोलॉजिस्ट के द्वारा, everybody feels that I'm not capable. Maybe कोविड हुआ, उसके बाद के अभी करना क्या है, अभी करना क्या है. तो वो सारा का सारा अभी कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर्स को they should focus with the help of the HR. They have to design HR system like that. थर्ड जो बहुत बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है, एथिक्स, बिजनेस एथिक्स. अब एथिक्स को दो, it has more concern with the education, but हमने क्या हुआ, मैनेजमेंट एजुकेशन स्पेशली उसको लिंक कर दिया पैकेज के साथ. और व्हेन पैकेज, तो नाउ लुक एट द प्रोडक्ट. अच्छे अच्छे कॉलेज के एमबीए करे विद्यार्थी, हाउ दे आर रनिंग द कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर्स. वो क्या कर रहे हैं. लेमन ब्रदर्स इज अ वेरी गुड एग्जांपल. दे हैव गिवन द रिसेशन टू द होल वर्ल्ड. तो ये रोल ऑफ मैनेजमेंट एजुकेशन इज आल्सो वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. रिसेंटली आई अप्रिशिएट द इनिशिएटिव ऑफ द AKTU, UP Technical University. They have introduced a course curriculum and they are serious about the human values. देखिए इस देश में हमें, yes we need Adani and Ambani, but we need to respect the teaching of the Vivekanand, who said if there is one single person hungry on earth, then the whole society is responsible and we are all traitors. तो वो उसको reinforce करना ही पड़ेगा. जो पहले एजुकेशन के बाहर एक लिखा जाता था, मैं बड़ा छोटे स्कूल्स में पढ़ा हूँ, छोटे टाउन से, तो बाहर बहुत अच्छे से लिखा हुआ होता था, शिक्षार्थ आइए सेवार्थ जाइए. अभी नहीं है. नाउ आई एम टीचिंग इन अ मैनेजमेंट कॉलेज. वी डोंट टॉक अबाउट सेवार्थ जाइए, वी से आइए एंड इतना पैकेज पाइए. तो एवरीथिंग इज लिंक्ड विद द मनी. शुभ लाभ वो तो खत्म ही चला गया. आई रेड ए स्टोरी इन माई चाइल्डहुड कि अगर एक चोर अगर चुराएगा, भूखा चोर, तो एक अनाज की बोरी चुराएगा, लेकिन एक पढ़ा लिखा विद्यार्थी अगर चुराएगा तो पूरी की पूरी गाड़ी चुराएगा. तो विच वी नीड टू फोकस कि कैसे हम थोड़ा सा इम्बाइब करें कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर्स का. नेक्स्ट जो इश्यू है, विच इज आल्सो वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड कंसर्न, सोशल रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द बिजनेस हाउसेस. Very very important, sir. When we look at the climate, I don't know what fact of our bad habits, corona, हमने इतना खराब कर दिया था एनवायरमेंट को Corona, if you look from the different angle, was a God also, was trying to give a lot of lessons. During this COVID period, unfortunately, there was a lockdown, but you see there was a lot of changes in the climate. Now, abhi kya ho raha? Look at the quality of the air, look at the quality of the water, पैकेजिंग सिस्टम जितना हमने करके कितना कूड़ा हम पैदा कर रहे हैं, सड़कों पे पैदा कर रहे हैं. मुझे डर लगता है किसी दिन हम बैठ के कूड़े के ढेर पे बैठ के बात कर रहे होंगे. We celebrated recently on yesterday Water Day. Look at the quality of the water. और क्या इसका फ्यूचर होगा, तो बहुत सोच के थोड़ा सा डर लगता है. तो I think all multinational or business houses, corporate houses, they should focus. अब recently I appreciate, ऐसा नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट कुछ नहीं कर रही है. Recently गवर्नमेंट इनिशिएटिव I appreciate construction in the field of auto. जिस तरीके से हमारी गवर्नमेंट अभी थोड़ा सीरियस हुई है क्लाइमेट को लेके, वो दे आर ट्राइंग टू क्रिएट क्लाइमेट चेंज, सेल्फ रिलायंट एंड टेक्नोलॉजी पे ऑटो में जो काम हो रहा है, इलेक्ट्रिकल ऑटो डेवलपमेंट का, दैट कैन बी अप्रिशिएटेड. एक बहुत सीरियस इश्यू जो कॉर्पोरेट के लिए, आई वांट टू टॉक फ्रॉम द कॉर्पोरेट एंगल्स आल्सो, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ प्रॉब्लम दे आर फेसिंग, लाइक रिजर्वेशन पॉलिसीज. In Haryana government, there was a decision of the government because उनको वोट खरीदना था, तो उन्होंने कहा 75% population will be of the Haryana will be allowed only in the corporate sector to work. There was restlessness in the corporate sector. They went to the court, high court में गए, हाई कोर्ट ने उस पे स्टे ऑर्डर दे दिया, लेकिन अभी रिसेंटली उसने सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा वो स्टे ऑर्डर को रद्द कर दिया. बट दे आस्क फॉर द रिव्यू. इफ दिस विल बी अलाउड, देन वी कैन सी, जो हम लोग मल्टीनेशनल कंपनीज को इनवाइट करते हैं, एंड रिसेंटली वी हैव सीन मारुति का जो केस हुआ था हरियाणा के अंदर, दैट वाज सो अनफॉर्चुनेट. एक एचआर मैनेजर को जला दिया गया था, वी ऑल रिमेंबर. तो हम लोकल पॉपुलेशन को एम्प्लॉय करके क्या मैसेज देना चाहते हैं, आई डोंट नो. व्हाट वी नीड टू डू, वो करना क्या है कि हमें गवर्नमेंट को अगर करना है तो वी नीड टू क्रिएट मोर जॉब्स, मे बी वी नीड टू क्रिएट एंटरप्रेन्योर. ये जो इंस्पेक्टर राज, इफ इट इज अलाउड, विल बी बैक अगेन इन हरियाणा, एंड नॉट ओनली इन हरियाणा. वो एक दूसरे को रेट रेस में रहते हैं, स्टेट कंपटीशन रहता है. महाराष्ट्र की वहां पॉलिटिकल पार्टी शिवसेना, दे आल्सो अनाउंस इफ वी आर इन द पावर देन लोकल को जॉब्स हम देंगे. सेम देयर वाज अ मैनिफेस्टो ऑफ अ लोकल ऑफ गोवा पॉलिटिकल पार्टी कहने का, वी विल गिव द एम्प्लॉयमेंट टू द लोकल पीपल. दिस वी हैव टू सी. The government has to take some serious. If government is not able to do because of the political interest, then the Supreme Court should look after that reservation policy. I see a lot of impact because there will be no cross-cultural. And then the local people, because we are also suffering from this problem where I am working. We employed the local people, they have their own mentality, they have their own issues, and they don't want to they want to create problems for everything. Employment is a very, very serious problem, sir. Every 10th, if I talk about the data, every 10th youth of this country is unemployed. जब हम बात करेंगे रिजर्वेशन की, तो उसमें ease of doing business should be more focused. We need to create more entrepreneurs like what I am doing with the help of the SOS भोजनालय. तो वो अभी हमने 6 लोग करे हैं, तो I have got target of 20 in Agra. तो उसके माध्यम से we are trying to create the job, because if I go deeply into stats, so it will take a lot of time. After COVID, people have lost their income, और जॉब अभी वो कैच नहीं कर पाए. जो 20 की जो सिचुएशन थी, मार्च 22 में perhaps it was declared lockdown, उसमें जो हालात हुए हैं कॉर्पोरेट्स को, they have to take care also, because दो उसका लॉकडाउन का बहाना करके जिस तरीके से उन्होंने एक्सप्लॉइटेशन शुरू किया, that was a very, very serious issue. सो गांधी की थ्योरी को भी हमें अभी थोड़ा सा याद करना पड़ेगा, रीइंफोर्स करना पड़ेगा कि इंडिया नीड्स प्रोडक्शन बाय द मासेस, नॉट बाय द मास प्रोडक्शन। और वो जो एक थ्योरी हमने कंपटीशन वाली जो पैदा की है, सर्वाइवल ऑफ फिटेस्ट, अभी हमने, बिकॉज अनफॉर्चुनेटली उसी पीरियड में एक रशियन फिलोसोफर, सोशल वर्कर, थिंकर थे।
Please be brief.
Okay. So he said theory of cooperation. The theory of cooperation was not more into the practice. Theory of competition में corporate has also introduced कि भला उसकी कमीज मेरी कमीज से ज्यादा सफेद कैसे। तो ये सारी कुछ angles हैं. I will not take much time now. I will join later on. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta, for giving your views. And Dr. Gupta is very, very clear. He says there are lots of problems and the reforms are required. But he was insisting on two things. First thing, about for the good governance, he says that the corporates have to give good governance. And secondly, he says the reservation policies, sometimes government is also coming out with such types of policies which are not in accordance with the international standard, and the companies, multinational companies are facing lots of problems to work. So according to him, it's both the side. The corporates are required to be, the corporates reforms are required, but also the government has to change their outlook, not for the vote politics, but for the benefit of the public at large. So thank you very much, Dr. Gupta, for giving your views. Now I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he's Mr. Ramnath Pradeep. Mr. Ramnath Pradeep is LLB, postgraduate in economics. He is the former chairman and managing director of Corporation Bank. Mr. Ramnath Pradeep has served the banking industry for more than 37 years in various senior positions. His chairmanship in Corporation Bank had brought numerous awards to the bank. He put the bank on world map by taking keen initiative to partner with Commonwealth Secretariat for financing the youth as a social concern under Corporation Bank, COMSEC Youth Enterprise Financing Program. He has also served as Executive Director of Central Bank of India and was also appointed as Chief Vigilance Officer in State Bank of India and Bank of India. In addition, he had also been associated as Chairman of Corporation Bank Limited, Corp Bank Securities Limited, Cent Bank Home Limited, Cent Bank Securities Limited, and member of Board of Central Bank of India and ILFS, besides other companies in the area of finance, information technology, Rolta Group, retail chain, Vadia Group, and Being Human, credit rating advisory services, etc. Currently, he is the chairman of Messrs. Cras Capital Advisors, Messrs. Credit Rating and Risk Advisory Services Private Limited. He is also co-author of book Financial Inclusion, Viable Opportunity in Urban India. Welcome, Mr. Ramnath Pradeep on our show. Mr. Ramnath Pradeep, you have heard of what Dr. Gupta said. And according to him, both sides are responsible, corporates as well as the government, and both has to change their ways so that the good governance will be given by the corporates, and that thus the advantage will be to the general public. Now, you being such a senior person in the banking industry and also on the board of many of the leading industrial houses, we would like to know your views on these corporate reforms in India. Mr. Ramnath Pradeep, please.
Mr. Goel, there are two issues. One is about the corporate governance issue, and another is corporate reforms issue. So I think according to the subject, there is a need of to change the need to look into a corporate reforms rather than corporate governance. Corporate governance is offshoot of the corporate reforms. Now, what are the steps have been taken by the government and as well as the regulatory authority? Because there are two areas which, after the liberalization has taken place, from the socialization to capitalization, we have deliberately moved from the socialization to capitalization. Now, when the capitalization we have adopted as of today, we are, in spite of that, we say we are the socialist country, we are the secular country. In spite of that, your growth of industry has taken place because of your adopting the model of capitalization, which is based upon the American, the model. based upon that, there are huge challenges which has come, because over a period of time we have learned. We have moved a lot of directions. We have moved in that direction to create a corporate competition, and corporate competition has created a governance issue. Now, one of the area of concern about the governance issue was, which is governed by basically a listed company, which are the big companies which are listed on BSE or NSE. Those are the companies which are governed by the corporate governance issue. Regulatory authority for that is a SEBI. SEBI has been regulating, and after liberalization and in 2014, after the new act has come, Companies Act has come in 2013, thereafter a lot of reforms had taken place in terms of legislative reforms as well as the corporate reforms. One of the reform which came into picture for the listed company was introduction of Article 49 in the SEBI, LORD. There is a guidelines issued by the SEBI under which the corporates which was registered with the SEBI are those who are registered with the BSE or NSE. They are supposed to follow certain direction. Those who have raised the the money from the public IPO, and they have become a listed company. Now, if you see the listed companies, how they have over a period of time. Earlier, there used to be only 4,500. I got some figure. I don't want to bother with those figure. In 99, when the first reform is started, at that time the listed companies were merely around 4,500. As of today, if you see, there are more than 50,000 listed companies. Now, those listed companies have grown over a period of time, and the public at large has participated in those IPO, and these companies have collected huge public money from the public, in terms of the IPO right to sue and many other things which has been done. At the same time, there was an issue of whether these monies are being utilized for the purposes the money is raised. Earlier, these things were not used, and therefore, the Act was amended, Companies Act was amended, SEBI regulations were amended and brought Article 49, where you are supposed to have certain minimum criteria. Like one of the criteria was recently, because of the pressure from the corporates, SEBI has to agree and modify, because one of the guidelines was that you should split the post of chairman and managing director. Earlier, in every company, chairman and managing director be the same. This has happened with the banking sector. Chairman and managing director, when we were there, we were the chairman and managing director 4. So now, the guidelines came into picture, and certain period was allowed to be adopted, like position of a chairman and the managing director should be split, resulting into chairman will be a highest authority who will take the policy decision, and managing director is the person who will be responsible for day-to-day operation of the company. It has been implemented in the bank, particularly in the public sector bank as well as in the private sector bank. But unfortunately, the time was given till this March, and now this position has been again written back, reversed back, and saying that it is left to the discretion of the board. It is left to the discretion of the board to adopt the position of split the position of a chairman or MD, or should continue as it is, what is there. The majority of the corporates have adopted that the position of a chairman. I am talking about some of the good companies like a Tata Group companies. There are many other group companies, Bajaj Group companies. They have all adopted both the position of a chairman and MD. But majority of the people have not done, including some of the good, the respected group of the companies. They have not adopted because they find their conflict. And therefore, this is an issue, one of the corporate governance issue, that why they should not split the post of MD and the chairman of the company. Second reform which came up is about the directorship. Now the companies, they were directed to have independent director, and for that there is a list of the independent director. There is a organization within the MCA, the Company Corporate Affairs Ministry. There is an organization who is training the people of who wants to become a independent director. There is examination for independent director, and those people can be appointed as independent director, so that the view of independent director is considered really independent. But in practice, I am also independent director of various companies, but in practice, it never happens. Who are those being appointed as independent director? Not from the list of the directors which are prepared by the Corporate Affairs Ministry, but the friend and relatives of the MD and CEO, MD and chairman of the company, who are majority of the time, they are the shareholder of the company. So in practice and in the law is a different, but and efforts have been made by the government of India and also by SEBI to create an atmosphere of consultation to implement these decisions. Now, one of the another area which has been reform is keeping the CSR. Mr. Gupta has raised the issue of CSR. Now, there is a law, according to that, there is a certain percentage of profit is required to be separated and kept separately in the CSR for CSR activities. And if it is not used for that particular year, it has to be used for the next year. If not done, then next to next year. And otherwise, you are not eligible. So that a separate provision is required to be made. These are the reform which has been taken place. Secondly was the appointment of the women directors. Majority of the cases, the women directors, independent directors were not there. As of today, because of this one of the reform which has been undertaken is to have at least minimum certain number of independent directors who are women director, and they are all qualified directors. So some of the the reforms which has been taken place has given a lot of independency on the company to decide. But there are issues of in corporate governance, there are issues of corporate reforms, particularly on accounting side. Now, as per the law, as per the CS Institute, as per the Companies Act, you can appoint a statutory auditor for certain specified period with the consent of the AGM. Now, who attends the AGM? When the AGM takes place, I attend majority of the, wherever I am the director, I attend. Hardly 20% people are not attending. 10% people are also not attending the, the AGM meeting. And when the agenda is put for the meeting, it is approved because as of today, the promoters voting is also considered as one of the votings. So majority gets voted, majority gets approved because of the promoters' voting rights. So one of the suggestions we have given from our side also that while going for the voting in the AGM and the EGM, the promoters' voting rights should be taken aside. Let the real shareholder vote for on these issues. I have seen this also because there are many institutional, the director, shareholder, institutional director like LIC, banks, many of the things are there, but they don't attend. I have seen this is one of the reasons in many of the cases it has happened because of the institutions are not voting, though they have a full right to vote. They don't participate in the voting, resulting into whatever the promoters have put forth the resolution get passed. So this is one of the area where it needs to be changed to make it that promoters' interest is to be kept separately. Similarly, there is a related party transaction. In majority of the cases today in banking side, majority of the cases the fraud has been declared as willful defaulter has been declared on account of nothing else but the related party transaction, which is required to be reported to the AGM or board and specific permission from the board, and if necessary from the AGM. People are not obtaining the necessary approval from the related party transaction. In majority of the transaction, you have 10 companies, 20 companies of the same promoter group. Now, definition of same promoter group has been expanded to include many of the relative blood relations. But in spite of it takes place, no permission is obtained, resulting into a lot of cases of diversion has been reported by the bank to CBI. A lot of cases of diversion has been reported to RBI to declare those corporates as a fraud. I'm not saying that the corporates are indulging in the fraudulent activities because they have also to be given. Their interest is also required to put a protection. But as of today, because of the tight guidelines, as of today, tight guidelines is to whom you should declare the willful defaulter? If you have capacity to pay and you are not paying, what is the capacity to pay? Generating sufficient profit. If I have a profit, any corporate who has a profit, why he will not pay to the, why he will not discharge the liability of the lenders? But in the balance sheet, it is required. I have seen many of the balance sheets of many companies. At least in a year, I get a chance to go through the balance sheet of the companies, not less than 20 to 50 companies balance sheet every year. Because I am on the board of some company, I am a shareholder of many of the companies. So I keep on getting those balance sheet. These things are not being reported. So this is a lack of corporate governance on the part of the corporates, and also lack of supervision on the part of regulatory authority. So there is a need to tighten the the supervisory. There is a need to have a control on the supervisory side. There is a need to have a control on the corporate side. Now, at the same time, liberalization has brought a lot of challenges to the corporate. When the competition takes place, you are not of a scale level of that nature, but you want to be that particular nature. So a lot of challenges have come for the corporate, which corporate are ready to address those issues. But atmosphere which is required to be created for that, there is a need to action needs to be taken by the company corporate affairs. There is a need to action to be taken by the SEBI. There is action required to be taken by RBI. There are regulatory issues. There are the compliance issue. As of today, one of the area which has been for any violation in the under the Companies Act, there was a criminal procedure. That apart from the penalty of financial, the penalty which will be also imposed. But during this particular last year, during the COVID period, some bold reforms have also been taken under the Atma Bharat Nirman, or what you call this. Under this category, certain further bold steps have been taken and resulted into the things are being streamlined. As of today, the people are in a position to get liberalization, you have liberty to raise the fund from as and when required. You are also having the liberty to take. Earlier, majority of the industries were under the restricted category. You were not allowed to invite the investment from foreign FDI and other source. As of today, I think every sector has been liberalized in terms of allowing the investor to come from the outside. Now the question is, what is the money coming? That also needs to be seen. I have seen in many of the cases. I don't want to publicly discuss those issues. But as of today, a lot of liberalization has taken place so far. Government is concerned, and the industry should take the full advantage of that, so that new industries is established. Gupta ji has raised the issue of local reservation. These are a little bit political nature, but I don't find it is giving some wrong signal to the people. I find I have seen I go to the rural area. I got some property in the rural area. I always go there. I find there's a construction activity which is taking place. Hotel industry which is managed by these people are locally people. They are well trained now. So the local, it is not necessary that local people will have a problem or reservation is giving. So I don't agree with Gupta sir. But at the same time, I appreciate, because there is a need to protect them also. If you are taking their land for the industry purposes, which is allowed, now you can take this. Even if you give the market price, what about people who were dependent upon that? If a local employment is given, a lot of things can be considered. So I have other things which we can suggest during the course of our introduction. But I find that India has taken steps in terms of the liberalizing the policies, in terms of the inviting the fund from outside. Your FDI policy has been invited. There are a lot of changes have taken place. One of the things which has taken place, people were struggling, is IBC Act has been brought into picture. A lot of industry consolidation has taken place. A lot of industry has changed hand from one industry to another. So allow those industries to survive, as well as protect the environment, protect the the employment and all other things which are required to run the industry. So a lot of work has been done and a lot of work need to be done. So reform is one in the corporate sector because the labor reform is one which still not taken. Law reform is still not taken. There are many other reforms which are required for the benefit of the corporates to develop their industry has not yet taken place. I think Government of India is moving in the right direction. At least identification of those areas has been completed. Now implementation will take time, probably maybe before 24. Thereafter, after that also there is a lot of time available. So reform will stay in the country. Some correction is required to be done, and corporates are also aware, and people are getting ready. Today, corporates are not set thinking of old days. Now, today the corporates, their son and daughters have got well-educated, foreign education. They are all aware of, and they want to adopt this. So we'll move around in the next round whenever there is. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you to all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramnath Pradeep, for giving your views. And Mr. Pradeep says that the government is doing lots of good work in the field of corporate reforms. So let's see how much corporate reforms, and he has given lots of details about those reforms also. So without wasting the time, because of the paucity of time and the speakers are there and everyone wants to speak more than the usual time, but no issues. I would like to but before that, thank you very much, Mr. Ramnath Pradeep. I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he is Mr. R. Kannan. Mr. R. Kannan is the corporate advisor and keynote speaker. He is the ex-TCS, ICICI Bank and Hinduja Group. Mr. R. Kannan is an expert in finance and strategy with more than 35 years experience. And during his career as a management consultant, as a key member of the corporate headquarters in various corporates, including TCS and PwC as management consultants, Hinduja Group as VP and head of strategy, ICICI Infotech as EVP and head of strategy, ICICI Bank Group as EVP strategy. At present, he is providing corporate and economic advisory services, focusing on central government, state governments, and corporates, including MSMEs. He is a mentor for startups under ADB program. He is a member of expert committee in CII, SOCHAM, FICCI, Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Indian Merchants Chamber on committees relating to foreign trade, private equity, industry, economic, banking, transportation, and environment. He was a member of National Task Force on Artificial Intelligence of CII. He had attended programs organized by World Bank, International Institute of Finance, Asian Development, AIIB on international finance. He was a member on the board of studies on SIES, School of Management for 5 years, and member of